I'd like to start this episode with a moment of silence for the recent tragedies occurring all over the world and the lives lost. Thank you for joining me in that. This is going to be an episode heavy with emotion on all spectrums of things, because I feel like lately what we've been witnessing, what we've accessed in us trying to figure it out ourselves and gain answers, what other people send us, we're so overstimulated with information. And I feel that it is a time that we need to hold space specifically for our military and military families with such uncertainty, with not just the state of our country, but the entire world. My team and I at Rashelle Stetman Art Company are keeping you and your families in our hearts and continuously praying. It's been such a difficult thing to witness, not only such ugliness and absolute terror, but the acts people will commit on innocent lives. There is beyond, it's just beyond ugly. In my entire life, I've never seen anything like this. And I know for anyone that's older watching this, it seems like, oh, well, she's so young. She doesn't really understand that so many awful things can happen. And people have been through tragedies that, maybe I can't really attest to. But this moment in time that we all, if you're watching this podcast, you and me and the people we know, our friends, our family, we were chosen for this time. We're here right now, this very specific moment. And I really want to take some time to honor and empathize with the people who are almost more, I guess, on the ground, the people that know who is serving right now, people that are fighting for good. It is such an intense time, and would be easier to look away, wouldn't it? It's an interesting concept to look away. It's something that has never felt like a reasonable option for me to do. And I know that so many people walk through life right now doing that. But it's just not something that I can do. Welcome back to the podcast.
Down from the mountain, she found her true colors. Landed in Texas, but she's still drawing hollers. Rashelle's her name, and she's the real deal. But don't blink, 'cause the art's for real.
I truly can't imagine how heavy this time has been for anyone who is in love with someone that is serving our country right now, who is saying goodbye to their dad. It's hard to imagine what this moment of uncertainty in this country really feels like at that level. As what feels like an audience member and a fellow American, the weight that I have felt in every single day is unlike anything I've ever experienced. I want to extend an invitation to anyone watching who feels that they have a story to tell, stories of hope, of God, of anything that brings comfort in connecting people to people, because that's really what it's about right now. This is an incredibly tragic time, and it feels more important than ever to seek comfort in one another and find depth in human connection. We are in this together, and the power of love and kindness is the light we need in such a dark time. I invite you to email me and my team at inquiries@RashelleStetman.com, and we would love to speak with you. I think it's important that right now we get our stories out if we feel that there is a possibility that something either ignites in someone, wakes someone up, provides comfort, hope, love, light, any of this. It's so needed right now. It's the most important thing I truly feel we as the people can do in our existence. I promised myself for this episode, especially, I wouldn't be afraid to be so real with you guys regarding my personal experience walking through this, what I've been feeling the last several months, and specifically the last few weeks. That being said, I feel like my emotions have been absolutely, they're just insane. It's like one day I feel like I can hold it together and I'm like, oh, I'm just proud that I got through task by task. But some days I wake up and I just know, I'm like, I'm not going to function. There's just something lingering there that's meant to hold your attention way more importantly than the things that you had planned. And I think this presence keeps us empathetic and loving towards each other. There is this roller coaster of being overstimulated by media, news, our friends, people sending videos and pictures and news articles. And, you know, I have a number of podcasters I listen to. But overall, it's like so much information at once, isn't it? Like it feels like even if you're having like a clarity moment of a day, that someone would send you something and it could completely debilitate you because you realize that this is actually real, like this moment. And again, for anyone who's lived through such trauma, watching an entire nation experience something like this, I can honestly say I feel for you because it feels like this. Some days I feel like, what are we playing pretend? Like, does it ever fucking feel like that to you? That you're just playing pretend? Like, we have to act as though this isn't happening and it's business as usual. And I feel as an artist, one of the great things about the arts, music and art, is that the expression comes from an honest place, that you keep yourself honest. And it's been one of the hardest things that I've done in my career to speak and to be open, because I thought my voice came through the tip of a pencil or a paintbrush. I didn't think my voice was ever going to actually be me speaking to anybody. For years, it felt like, keep your opinions to yourself. Nobody really cares, you know, stick to what you know. And as safe and professional as that has felt and consistently remained true, it feels like the biggest dishonor to my neighbors, to my friends, to the people I love dear, and the friends that I haven't even met yet. But through this time, I have connected with more wonderful, just diverse range of people. Because when we walk through tragedy, we are in this together. And I think that that is one of the most powerful moments that you really have to keep in the forefront of your logical brain when you're finding out more horrors of what is being uncovered, and the next day of things that you couldn't possibly imagine watching unfold. I wanted to be able to take this episode in a direction where I brought light to every single dark point in the form of the perspective in which we view it. It's hard to even write something like this, and I've never spent so much time writing what was going to be planned for a podcast. And as I was writing, it started to become almost like a novel. My producer was going to absolutely lose his shit because he's, arrives on time, and I'm like, just a couple more minutes. And, 6 hours later, I'm still writing because it's hard to describe what I know we're all collectively experiencing. And at different times and different things affect us at different levels, whether you're a parent, the walk of life you come from, the people you're connected to. But overall, I think that there's a collective sadness. It is a tragedy what we're seeing unfold. But that's why I think it's so beautiful to try and shift that perspective to find any light in what feels like just an absolutely dark and sad world right now. So my role in this is to kind of try to bring that forward. And in no way do I mean any disrespect on anything, on any tragedy anyone's walking through. I want you to know that me and my team are here. I am, for the first time in my life, reading the entire Bible. I'm praying harder than I've ever prayed. I'm like having these conversations, which are they're so intimate. I never thought I would talk about this, but these like conversations with Jesus about why and what the meaning of this is and what my role is in this moment of life. And as terrifying as it is to open up, what's more terrifying is to retract and to pull away. And knowing how I feel, I'm sure there are so many people out there that need this too. And if you might be one of those, I'm really, really grateful you're here. The first thing that I realized that was one of the most beautiful, like, how would we frame this? Shifting of perspective, something that you could find light in the darkness, would be the clarity I've found with the mainstream media and major news networks. For years, I haven't been watching the news. I've just been, kind of sourcing information from independent journalists. Some friends have kind of like turned me towards certain people that actually leaned much further left than I would typically agree with. I, happen to be a Republican, and that has shifted entirely. I feel like I very much sit in the middle now. But what I noticed about the media was when you watch from channel to channel, there's they push a specific stance helping bridge a divide within the American people. It's resulted in a complete loss of truth. And if you cannot decipher truth, you've got a bunch of people who don't know the truth fighting about what they saw. It is such a simple issue to create. And I do believe this was by design. Do you ever notice, even when you watch the news with your parents growing up, my dad always liked to have the news on. And I remember thinking, I want to know what he's so infatuated with the news. Like, he just loved it, right? It becomes kind of an addiction, doesn't it? Like this kind of dark entity of almost never good news, right? And so you don't really think a whole lot of hope or light or goodness is really out there, because most of it is tragedy. And when you are exposed to so much of that all the time, even in a time that it's not like this, we're being fed that narrative. And I think there's something really traumatizing with that. And I remember feeling that for the first time as a kid, sitting next to my parents watching the news. I remember feeling fear. I remember experiencing this very, like I didn't feel stable in walking away. I felt scared as a kid, like things that you shouldn't even be having to think about. And when I think about that memory, I can't help but think about what some of these children have experienced in this country from the very people that we pay our taxes to, that we voted for, that we watch make decisions on our behalf. It's, and I'm trying to get my words I'm trying to be impeccable with my words here, because it's so serious, what is happening, that when we're talking about children's lives, I'm not sure you could really... What is more innocent than a child's life? To rob a child of something innocent is to inflict pure evil, knowing there's no defense. It is the most cowardice act you could commit, in my opinion. It truly is. You're stripping a child of the innocence and the light that we so badly need in this world. I think these points I have to make because they kind of bring a sense of understanding to why this moment in particular I feel so incredibly drawn to talk about. When I was growing up, I had certain things happen that change you forever. And when you're changed like that from what should be the most innocent moments of your life, and you carry those memories throughout your life, every experience, they're with you. Like you're carrying around this backpack of what felt like guilt, what felt like shame. It changes you forever. And it wasn't even a question when I started hearing such insanity of what was going on with, pedos. And I have to be very careful with my key words here, but we've got one of what feels like, does this not feel like the biggest scandal of all time, knowing that the most high profile people seem to be implicated in these horrific stories? And the rest of the normal people, we, the American people, are sitting here with such shock, trying to make sense of how this, first of all, could have been possible. Second of all, you led us to believe a complete lie about all of these people, and millions of people bought into it, that these are people that we should respect and find some type of admiration with. How do you admire people like this when you start to find out what's been uncovered? It changes you, right? And I just think that this is a time that in the ugliness, you have to see the light. But it is an understanding the light that a child provides, that light that all of us had. It dwindles as we get older. But wouldn't you protect that with every fiber of your being if you could? When you think about the happiest moments of your life, when you were a kid, when you were just playful and it was carefree. I can't tell you how many things I've learned from children teaching me about life, because you forget that it can be playful and fun, because we have been what feels like set to believe that it's so serious, and fear and nervousness and survival mode and all these things that are just trained and ingrained in us. And I feel that the clarity in knowing that watching the mainstream media and understanding that when you flip from channel to channel, there is a direct programming for that set person watching that program. I mean, what is truth anymore? This whole fake news phrase is interesting because anyone who's said it seems to be telling lies, which is just another fucking issue. It's just like everywhere we look, there's just more. And so you really have to learn discernment. And the greatest part about this moment for us is that discernment is on the rise. Free thinking is on the rise. And so I feel most people, I don't know honestly anyone besides people who are maybe a little bit older that still watch the news, but they don't have social media. They don't have as much access to the independent journalists that we might listen to. So for them, I do feel that could be a sense of comfort, and I try to find understanding in some of that. But I do think understanding that there is a agenda with the mainstream media, that they're trying to feed you a narrative that they think will not upset the public. It will upset the public the least, while it will create division amongst the people. If we're fighting with each other, and I know that almost nobody's foreign to this concept, but if we are fighting with each other, who the hell's looking at the government? And that is how they haven't had to be accountable. We are the ones that hold the power. We are the numbers. We are the power. Knowledge is power. Understanding how the system works is power. Questioning things is power. It's funny that just a couple years ago, I remember people thinking that I was absolutely nuts for speaking on some of the things that are coming out within the last couple months. And I had known of some stories from people that were very trusted, that were so mortified and sharing some very disturbing stories in pursuit of protecting their family, in pursuit of making sure that they weren't rubbing shoulders with the wrong people. I think that one of the greatest parts of walking through really dark times is that you can see exactly where the light is. And I think that clarity on fear and the effect that it has on the human condition and how our behavior is affected by it is so, so important. I think we know that when we're in a state of fear, we are acting out of a place of lack. In a place of lack, I don't believe I personally have ever made my strongest decisions from that place. When you are in survival mode, it is a mode we are meant to access not often. But yet, do you not also feel that you've been in survival mode a lot more than what feels like natural? Like that's not how it's supposed to be? And maybe this is just me. I'm just a gal out here talking, okay? I'm just trying to find common ground with what I'm feeling that maybe the collective energy is also experiencing. And if at any point I say anything and I insinuate that you feel a certain way, I want you to have full permission and understanding that that's not where I'm trying to come from. I'm just trying to have this conversation of my experience through this. I do feel one of the greatest gifts to this chapter of our lives that you and I were chosen for by the universe, by God, by the happenstance of the fact that we're all fucking here right now. I think it's the independent journalists. I think we have got to fucking give it up to the independent journalists helping us sift through the actual bullshit to find the truth. In an age where AI makes us so confused, I am not a tech person. I am like one of the dumbest people when it comes to tech. Anything. Like, honestly, I'm lucky I know how to operate a computer. I always write my notes like by hand. I don't know. I want to churn butter and live in the woods. Like, what can I say? But I just feel like overall, we are so confused because we're just hit with so much information. Stories about war and bombs and all of this shit going on. And then I see another video and I'm like, wait a minute. That's saying that the other one was AI. We're not there. We can't tell. So we look to the people that are trusted, that have built relationships and made it a mission and a purpose in their life to deliver truth, not from a major network, but because it's what I think they felt driven and called to do. And what a beautiful service that is for the rest of us. It has saved my sanity multiple times, being able to go to very diverse groups of journalists, ones that come from very different backgrounds, religious backgrounds, political backgrounds, don't vote the same, or very different way of speaking and presenting information. But you know what I'm seeing more than ever is people of all different walks of life coming under like one umbrella of a very similar understanding of what we're watching unfold. I gotta say, 6 months ago, there's no way you could tell me that a very hard left and a very hard right political person would ever agree on anything. And we're talking major issues in the world. We're finding common ground. We're finding understanding and love. We're bonding with each other. We're remembering what we love about each other again. And the fact that all of us are witnessing this and walking through this moment together. Like, I think one of the greatest things is when you connect with people and you can find that good versus evil tends to be the theme that most of us see in this moment, rather than any political agenda. This is not politics anymore. And and if you feel differently, that's totally up to you. To me, what sits on my heart correctly is that it doesn't feel right. It feels so incredibly wrong that for the first time in my 33 years of life, I felt like I had to speak on such private things to express why is this so important now? And without being a mother, I try to put myself in the shoes of if I had children, and I think of my friends' kids, I have a godson, I think about them. I think about what their future's going to be like. If we don't stand up to this tyranny, if we don't hold people accountable for transparency, for this justice system, these are not normal, like, things that we would ever in a million years, most people would not think, yeah, I saw that coming. No fucking way. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. That is insane. This is where I'm saying I want to be very clear that I know that I go from trying to be very calm and then I fucking want to kick some ass because it is so disgusting to me. It is so disgusting that we have allowed such tyranny in this country, that we have allowed such powerful people to somehow, nobody's been arrested yet, not one arrest since the files came out, which, by the way, I thought we were going to drain the swamp, Trump. What? The swamp is still, it's swamping, okay? It's full. That motherfucker's full. And you promised us something. Don't you think that you owe the American people the shit you promised them? I mean, bar none. I just feel like, come on, dude. And you'd be the first one to call out any other opposing politician if they said that and didn't deliver. You would be the very first person to do that. And that is partially, is a massive part of why I voted for you. So that pisses me the fuck off. And I think it pisses a lot of Americans off who believed in you, who really believed in the person that you are, that you were different. And you're different in ways that I really wish I didn't know, dude. I think a lot of people wish they didn't know. And I think it's why a lot of people, this is such ugliness of what is coming out now that I find there is millions of people in this country, I do believe, have to look the other way because they cannot process how people could do such things and how so many people that were homies with these people are going to act like they didn't know. Like, this cannot and will not be laid to bed because now we're at war. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. There are too many patriots that care about the future of this country, about the future of our children, and about the victims that have already had to live through this. So the beauty in this moment of life is that what you got the people to do, and not by design, was bond together for a better future in the division you so badly wanted to create. We found common ground. And that, you couldn't fucking put a price on that. How about the Dow now, bitch? How about the Dow now? I'm just wondering, Pam, you out there? Like, the fucking Dow, dude. I can't with the Dow. I don't think anybody's thinking about that, by the way. Like, I'll say what no one else is saying. I don't think anyone's thinking about that. As we are trying to understand, how is the justice system a justice system? We need to understand that. Because if we don't have that, where is the safety? This feels like an abusive fucking relationship with a dude who constantly makes you so fucking stressed and so tired and so scared that you don't even know how to be anymore. That is the American people. And there are too many people now that you have upset and pissed off. I mean, truly. And if standing up for children doesn't ignite a fucking fire, rage in you, it doesn't wake you up to go, this is wrong, then I don't know what will. Like, if that's not occurring to you yet, I truly hope, for the sake of people who do choose to look away, because for your own fucking sanity, it's probably what you want to do. It's what you're telling yourself is the right thing. And as I value your own decision to do that and to live your life where you're like, this is how I stay at peace, I ask you to try to put yourself in the shoes of a mother whose daughter was one of the victims. I ask you to try and understand, if that was you as a child, how different your life would be. if you lived through any of the stuff that you have read about, heard about, seen videos floating around about, because whether you're looking for it or not, it's out there. It's out there on a normal day where we're trying to just like operate our lives, and we're just inundated with this story and that story and this video. And I mean, it's so awful. And you have to find some type of goodness to get you up the next morning sometimes. Like, that is truly how it's felt. And I just think, wow, you know what I've noticed? These independent journalists that are giving this incredible gift to us to not have to look at mainstream media, to understand that we trust you, to understand that there's a lot more similarities going from one journalist to another that come from very different sides of the spectrum saying the same thing. And that to me gives me hope that people generally are good. And we cannot forget that most of us are not bad. Most of us want to do good in the world, want to give light, want to protect children, want the best for everyone. I really do believe that. Even in the midst of one of the most horrific thing I've ever lived through, experienced, and tried to figure out how to walk through with fellow Americans during this time. I do feel like that is one thing that gives me peace, is knowing we are in this together and there are so many patriots standing up and going, oh, fuck no. And that gives me hope. I am so grateful for the fact that so many of us are in that survival mode of, we're still paying our taxes. We're still going to work with this heaviness. We're still trying to understand what is coming out. But at the same time, these people are making our lives they're serving us. They're serving us to give us that information, to sift through the bullshit and to be able to deliver real news to us. It's far less bias. It creates such change. And you know what it does? It instills power back into the American people. It reminds us that it is us that can get us through the hardest moments of our lives. I cannot honestly say the hardest moments of my life, thank God for the government. I really could not say that. Like, sorry, take me away. I'm not going to say it. You can't pay me, okay? Stop sending me any DMs on that. But, I just feel like regarding religion and regarding politics, typically you have people reporting fairly biased content. And that is just not what I'm seeing. I mean, I am listening to pretty left people, very right people, families of people who have different opinions within, their own family, but there's just pieces. And you know what? The common theme is that they're great people, that they have a heart beating in their chest and, like real blood pumping in their veins. And they have free thought. And somehow, against all odds, they are using discernment. And that is the most beautiful thing. That is such a win. Because through the poisoning of our foods, through our water system, through chemtrails, through all this fucking shit. And I'm sorry, I apologize for the language because I know it's not appropriate, but God, doesn't it make you just want to curse your ass off? Because it does for me. It makes me feel like I need to find moments to gather myself, like go in a dark room and take some deep breaths, because I feel that my purpose in this is to stand strong and remain strong for the future of what these children growing up now I know the evil's out there. And I may not be a mother, but I will tell you, there is one thing, if you rob this world of, that I don't think it can survive, and you rob all the children in this world of their innocence, there's not enough in adults. The government has done some serious shit to rob that from adults. And in an inflated economy, they still expect their taxes to be paid, even though it's going to foreign entities that I think a ton of Americans, I think I could speak for a lot of people, $38 trillion. We have debt exceeding that. Yeah, I know. I get why you're like, hey, give us your money, but also don't have an opinion or have some type of feeling on how you're going to change moving forward. How are we, as the American people, going to take this moment, look at ourselves in the mirror and ask yourself, who do I want to be in this moment? And if you haven't done that, which I think most people haven't had to have the mirror moment, but if you've been in avoidance, I just ask that you do try again to just put yourself in those shoes of people who have been inflicted by these crimes. They're heinous. They're things that people you couldn't even make things like this up. Normal people don't even know. I mean, I don't even think I've seen a movie that shows such horrors of what real people do to real people. This is insanity. So it is the bonds that we have within ourselves to each other that we really, really need to lean into. Everything about, for me, and if you do not believe in God, if you are trying to figure out and discover where you sit with things, that's still a really beautiful place to be. Because to be curious and to question darkness when you are presented with it, where it's inexcusable and you can't really say it's not there, that's kind of how you're brought in, right? That's kind of how you're brought into a lot of the I call them God moments of my life, the intuitional moments where I know exactly where I'm supposed to be and when. I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And I think right now you could look at your purpose as I'm confused, I'm scared, I'm lost. And that is so reasonable, okay? Like all of that is very reasonable. But if you take it one step further and you put yourself in your younger self shoes, you as a, let's say, 7-year-old, and you're looking at you now, what would you tell yourself? Would you want to see the adult you fight for these innocent kids? Would you want to see you have an opinion on what feels right and what feels wrong? Would you want you to exercise free thought, freedom of speech, understand that you have a place to be able to speak on these things? That is beautiful. And I don't know how much longer we're going to have that. So I think that might be one of the greatest things we still have in this country right now. And I've thought about how much talking about this could absolutely destroy my career. Everything I've ever worked for, all the times I shut my fucking mouth on how I felt about things. But when it comes to kids, I'm sorry, we are the entity that will protect them moving forward. They are the future. This is how time works. And if we don't do it, who will? Because we know the other option is not looking too good. We got a couple really great, wonderful people that are fighting on the right side of things. Thomas Massey being one. Shout out, dude, you're a legend. Absolute legend for what you're doing. I mean, he is showing the example, and that's like, it's so great. Like, if you're my hero, dude, I'm 33 years old, but if I saw this as a child and I'm watching what you're doing and you're standing up for people my age that have had horrible things done to them, can you imagine for kids who are hearing these horror stories right now? Like, they're horrific. and they're hearing about it and they're exposed to some of this. This is stuff that is hard enough for an adult to process. How do you explain that as a parent if your kid's hearing about it at school? Like, I've not even gone there until this moment. I'm like, holy shit, just another layer to this, you know? And I empathize with parents in this country. I empathize with parents everywhere with the exposure that kids have now that I didn't grow up with that. I didn't have a phone. I didn't, but if it's really dark for a kid to be exposed to. So imagine if you feel like that with your kids, imagine your kid walking through these heinous acts. That it still remains just absolutely insane to me how people are looking away. I don't know how it happens. I try to empathize with y'all because I know that it's like we're all trying to stay sane in a very, very upside down world, that we're all kind of experiencing it in real time. But with our own understanding that sometimes we resist and sometimes we lean into that resistance and try and understand what is it about that makes me not be able to look at it. I know a lot of dads with young girls that they cannot look at this. It just absolutely debilitates them. And if that is the thing that makes your family stronger, if you are going to protect your family and be a better man for your family in the absence of understanding and learning and trying to really, like, if that's not doing good in you, that's a great reason to not do that. Because the most important thing is that we're doing our part, and knowing our part, that's our purpose, baby. That is the best thing ever, to just wake up and know what your fucking purpose is. And I have struggled with that my entire life, wondering where I fit in, and I never fit in anywhere. But right now, I feel so driven to connect and find hope, to have conversations that bring us to closer to solutions, closer to understanding, empathy, light, love. How can we help? Because if you think about it, and it doesn't take much to think about it, like that heaviness that a lot of us feel, we're all brothers and sisters in this. We're all experiencing this in this way that it's weirdly beautiful to see how people and the power of love and knowledge can shift all the shit you were arguing about before. Everything. It just doesn't even seem like, I mean, you remember COVID, man? Like, do you remember that happening? I'm like, what the fuck was COVID? And I remember before COVID, I'm like, I can't even barely remember before COVID, because that was such a polarizing experience for all of us. But now, holy fuck, dude, this is like, I mean, I really honestly can't blame anyone for walking through this, how you need to walk through it to best protect yourself. But at a certain point, when you think about more vulnerable people out there that might need your protection too, that you could offer something to, I just ask that you sit with that for a little bit. There's no right answer. There's just considering. And I think one of the greatest parts about all this is witnessing the courageous moves that so many people are making. So you got your journalist, you got literally a couple people in the government. We've got people behind the scenes that I have heard of amazing things that are going on, that the people, not the elites, not the government, but the people of the United States of America that are going, we cannot do this anymore. We cannot be okay with this. And the conversations have shifted. Politics has taken a back seat, and right versus wrong is right up fucking front. And I love living in a world where you, at least when you lifted the veil, could see that we're all trying to understand it at the same time together, and we're coming together. So that divisiveness that was so easily constructed has just kind of started to deteriorate. Have you noticed that? I mean, that is a huge win. And I feel like people need to be pointing out like the major wins. Like, dude, never ever saw that coming. Never saw that coming. I have had employees that are like hardcore, left, and I was very right. And we fucking bond. Like, I can't even describe, because we're normal fucking people. Like, we can see we're not, it just makes you realize all that, the storytelling before, they're batshit crazy, these, it's just not, that story's overdone. And it's like, whoa, this is the people versus the government. That's what this is. And making sure that the people who are wonderful in the government, that we give them so much support. We pray for them, we love them, and we thank them for being so courageous to stand in what none of us can actually understand. In a room full of a ton of snakes, you got somebody sitting there going, nah, dog, like, I'm not gonna be like you. And that would be so intimidating for your career. Like, I think I'm worried about my career. That's so cowardice to me. Like, people are doing way bigger things. And I just truly trust in this moment that we will all find, if you really ask yourself, what is my place in this moment? Is it to go love on your dog? Is it to hug someone, help someone with groceries to their car, give someone a compliment? Like, love, pouring love out right now, we need that. Imagine how children inspire you. Imagine the innocence, the kindness, the playfulness. We need that. We need to push light back in the world, because there is so much heaviness and so much darkness that I don't think you cannot push out darkness with more darkness. You got to cope, you got to accept, and you got to be a light warrior. That's truly what I feel. And I'm really, really inspired by such wonderful people that I've connected with personally through this moment of my life. That I never would have connected with through social media. I get emails. I get the greatest people that I don't even know, like, what's your walk of life? How different are we? And you find out very different. But we all seem to have this common ground of like, we aren't down for this. This old strategy of like us being asleep is not working. So millions and millions of people are waking up. And then I start talking. I get messages from people in other countries talking about what it's been like as an audience member watching what's going on in the United States of America. And they're asking me true questions. What is it like there? I mean, that's a heavy question. How does one come up with the words for that? And it's like, I talk so much. It's like few times in my life I've ever actually struggled to find words. And I often don't know what the words would be. So, I weaved in a lot of really awesome moments that I have noticed in this time that are in the midst of what looks so awful. You have to find, how do you shift perspective? It's the only way that I've ever made it through the worst moments of my life that I never thought I'd be able to make it through. And I find that if I can try and be strong for victims, if I can try to be strong for these families losing their loved ones, our military families, the worry they must feel, then I think that's a really great place to be. And I also think, in light of something great, I have to say, one of the greatest gifts, which is such weird dark humor, is memes, is videos, is your friends and you trying to find any source of like where you can find a fucking laugh. Like there were a couple days, I think it was like 4 days, I like didn't laugh, not once. And it was disturbing. I laugh all the fucking time. I crack myself up. I'll like talk to myself and laugh. It's ridiculous. And so for me to not laugh for several days, I mean, not even like it was hard to find a smile. I mean, but what is that doing? How is dimming our light going to help? We have to find ways to put our purpose out there, be good to each other, love each other, and fight for a future that we want to be a part of. Not like this shit that I hear like, oh, you know, I don't even want to live through this. I'm like, fuck it. I fucking do. Because I believe that we were put here for a reason to create good, to instill good in a very dark moment. And I take that responsibility so seriously. I look at what other people are doing that far exceeds anything I've ever done. And I think if they can do that, if they can put that out there and be so kind and so courageous, then we all have that power. And there's millions upon millions of us that can sit here and do something. And don't you feel tired of hearing that same line? It's like, well, it's just me. I'm like, dude, if you look at yourself that way, where will you get? Like, I don't know what to do with that. That feels hopeless. And that's not the fucking vibe, dude. It's given hopelessness. And I'm trying to go for hopefulness. I'm trying to create something great. I'm trying to put out the best parts that I know are within me into the world because the world needs us. And I just want to say I love you guys so much. It was such a huge calling for me to start this podcast in efforts to just talk about real shit that I feel like we're so censored and we're so like, it feels like you're just like beaten the fuck down to be scared to ever have an opinion. Like when did this not become America? Like what are we doing? Like that was the greatest part about being an American is that you get to have your opinion and you get to have your opinion. Like, you know, we're not supposed to be the same person. We're supposed to celebrate the fact that we are different. But good and evil, those are very distinct lines. And I think if you really dive into your heart, you know exactly where you're meant to be at this moment in time. I just think sometimes we need to slow down and have those conversations with ourselves. Have those conversations with God. Have those conversations with a friend. Write it down. I started writing and journaling and I was like, holy shit, a lot of shit came out just in writing versus speaking about things. I think we need to find our outlets. We need to find our fucking purpose and we need to do it for beyond just us. This is, to me, it's like, if we give up, this is the final act. Fuck no. We can't give up like that. Like, I can't. I won't do it. I love this country. I believe in the people I have grown up with, the people I keep connecting with. I believe in the good of humanity. And I love, love, love that I've seen so many beautiful, opposing, very opposite types of people, personality types, everything, come together and be kind to each other. Holy shit, it's like Girl Scouts again. It reminds me that it's possible that in the worst moments of our life, there's always the possibility to choose to change it. And it's a choice. And we all have that ability. We all have that power. Knowledge is power, and power in millions upon millions of Americans, that's huge. So I just wanted to share some of, you know, obviously I'm an opinionated little gal, but I know why I feel so strongly about all this. And I stand by the fact that this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And if you're listening to this podcast, I really, really hope that you got something out of this, that you feel a little less alone, that you feel inspired, that someone else might maybe feel something that you might feel. Or if it pisses you off, fucking tell me about it. Let's have a conversation. But we should be talking about this. That's the point. I'm not afraid for people to argue with me anymore. I dropped that shit. Man, you should see the messages I get. Also, the cursing is just going to continue. So I'm trying to work on it, but it's I don't know. When you start saying shit, it's like a gateway drug to fuck, and then it's all downhill from there. But, if you guys got something out of this, first of all, I'm so happy because it makes me feel like I'm at least creating some source of like goodness out there. Even if I reached one person, that means a lot to me. So, please like, subscribe, share this podcast. Anybody that you know that might need any type of, this could be considered an ass kicking. This could be considered an inspiration, or this could be considered this chick's batshit crazy. But what's so great is we live in America. We get to have that free thought. We get to decide how we feel on things and stand in that truth. And I ask you to try and stand in your purpose and what feels right in your heart. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here.
Rashelle's her name, and she's